How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we have another deck profile, and this one is going over my Platinum Star Jiren deck, the red Jiren deck that I took to the webcam locals last Friday and had a lot of fun doing it. Ended up going 4-1 in the end, so only one loss, and 4 glorious wins. And this is a deck that I feel that is actually quite a lot stronger now. Like they actually a very good contender for red. Like it wasn't on my top 5 red list because I didn't think about it too much. It's one of those where it's more pilot based because I've seen people play like as that's what I've seen. You've probably seen when you see some decks played, they seem like very strong decks, but then if the person isn't confident or like competent with the deck, it's not going to do as well. Like we've seen that with 921, like people have been topping, but with like questionable, very questionable lists. And I think this is one that is just pilot dependent, and also as we've seen with like most metas now, unless it's a deck that seems busted, like quite new, and is quite easy to carry people through, people don't really experiment with different decks. That's why you see some people top with like rogue decks and do well because they put in the effort and the time to learn the deck, learn the matchups, and understand the deck. When then you get people just playing things like 121, the new one, and just letting it carry them because it's just that strong. But this is one that I feel is quite fun and quite strong for the upcoming meta, and I'm glad because I have had a lot of fun with this deck back before the Zenkai series started. I think I even won one event with it and then ended up topping another event with it, making top 4 at least. But yeah, so this is one that feels good. If you're interested in this, you can, if you just want to skip the understanding about the actual list, aside in the main Z deck, then go ahead and skip to the deck profile, and then you'll miss out on these like the information. But then again, that's what most people do. But if you are interested in the information and understand the deck and tech choices, then keep watching. And before we do get into the deck list, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. We're on our way to 1,000 subs. We're getting closer and closer. Currently just over 700, getting close to halfway 700, almost 2/3 or 3/4 of the way to our main goal. And once again, if you want to check out what the aim is, if we get 1,000 subs, go and check out one of the giveaways. There's even one on now. And also don't forget to hit the notification bell. It gives you alerts when my videos do drop, so that way you can watch them or watch them later when you're able to. But with that all out of the way, let's get to the deck profile and check out the deck. And as always, we're going to start off with the leader because every deck has to be played with a leader because that's how Dragon Ball works. So this is Jiren, red Jiren, not yellow Jiren, nice red one. And it's all about evolving. So it's all about this deck is all about Jiren. It's like the Jiren show for this deck because it's all around evolving Jiren up, going through his life and going up to how he is now the big strong boy. And on the front side, you get 3 skills. You get an Auto that has Spirit Boost attached to it, so it relies on a Unison. You also have an Activate main, which is how you self-awaken, which is very nice, so you can't be just held off on awakening. And then you have the Awaken skill, which is the last one. So the first one is the Auto, which is Spirit Boost 1, so you need to take 1 marker off a Unison in order to activate this skill. And it reads, when your opponent attacks, choose up to 1 red Jiren card in your hand with an Evolve skill, pay the skill cost for the card's chosen Evolve skill, and then evolve it on top of a battle card that meets its Evolve requirements. So in layman's terms, it means if your opponent attacks and you're able and you have the requirements to evolve one of your Jiren cards, you can do that in your opponent in that attack step. Before on the attack step declared, so you can evolve into like a 5 cost, 4 cost, or even 8 cost on your opponent's attack, which is very strong and is very, very useful as well because then you get to play out and get the benefits of some of those cards on your opponent's turn. And that is that. And it also, you get that effect on both sides of the leader, so when we flip over and read the Awaken side, you will also have that skill on there. And then you have the Activate main, and that is once per turn. And the cost is to add 1 card from your left to your hand, so you've got to add 1 card from your left to your hand. So if you're at 4 or less and want to stay at 4, not go down lower, unfortunately you have to take a life to be able to activate the skill. But when you do activate this skill by paying the cost, then look at the top 7 cards of your deck, play up to 1 red Universe 11 card with entry cost of 1 among them in rest mode, and shuffle your deck. And the majority of the time, you're going to be getting a Jiren 1 drop off that. You don't really play any of the other ones we did before we got more Jiren targets, but since you want Jiren targets to evolve, and we've got more and more, then we're just going to stick with those. And is very unlikely going to whiff because you have a lot of targets, but there is the chance you can. Like I have done it. I think I did it twice on the event in webcam locals, and it's just a very nice way to get things on board in your deck as well to find the cards you want. And then lastly, that brings us to our Awakening. And Awakening is no like just the old base one. There's no old alternate Awakening. It's just the standard, which is when you last at 4 less. That's it. When you draw one card, untap an energy, and flip this card over. And then when you flip over, you're now Jiren, Blind Destruction, the big boy, shirtless and everything. And then now you have 3 autos. So the last one is the exact same as the other one, the Spirit Boost one that allows you to evolve when your opponent attacks. So that stays exactly the same. But the other two, first one is when this card attacks, draw one, so now you get to attack with your and you draw cards, like you do attack sometimes with the Unawakened side, but you don't get any benefit off of it, you just attack to put pressure on. Maybe even combo to get Z energy and stuff like that. But then now you can attack on this side and draw, and there's a benefit to waiting until you've done all your battle card stuff before swinging this leader, because the second auto is limit 2, so it's not often we see limit 2, it's normally limit 1, and that means basically you can only activate this effect twice in a turn, and it reads as if it's your turn as the requirement, so it needs to be your turn. When one of your red Universe 11 cards evolves, this card gains 5k power for the turn. So if you evolve once, you gain a 5k boost. If you evolve twice, it gains a 1k boost. What's it? 10k boost, sorry. So you can make your leader either 15k if you don't evolve, 20k if you evolve once, and 25k if you evolve twice. And 25k is that sweet spot. You can even get your leader up to 30k as well, which we'll get to later on as we get through the deck. But that is the lead, so very nice way. It's a very nice skill, be able to thin your deck with this activate main on the front side, helping you awaken as well. If your opponent doesn't want to awaken you, you can awaken normally by turn 3 at the earliest, maybe turn 4, and even earlier if they attack you. And then when you awaken, you then can be a big beefy leader, which is very, very nice, and then keep the whole evolving your opponent's turn if you get the Unison out. So now let's get into the deck. Now we've covered the lead, and we'll start off with the little boys, or the little Jirens, and we run 3 of those. We got the first one, Jiren First of Power, this is our Searcher one. Then we have the Journey Avenger, this is our Draw one, which also has an effect in the drop, which allows you to search for more evolve targets. And then we have the newer one being a Never Jiren Withdraw, and his effect is, with this build of the deck, it's only the auto that's relevant, and it's just more the fact that these are Jirens by name, so you can evolve on top of them. That's the main reason. That's why we don't run any Kunshi and stuff like that, because these actually allow you to evolve your chain on them and are more relevant in that fact. And these are all cards that gain you value as well as be Jiren in name, and that's what the main thing you want from these 1-drops are. So the first one is Jiren First of Power. This has a permanent that's irrelevant, so we're not going to read any of that. But it's a 1-drop and 4k boost and 5k combo power. And its main effect is this auto, which is when this card is played, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, add up to 1 red Jiren card, or 1 red Unison card with a specified cost of 1 amongst your hand and shuffle your deck. So the Unison is relevant because we don't play that Unison for it, we don't play the top of Unison in this build, but it's more that it comes down as you look top 5 to find a Jiren. Since we run a ton of Jirens, you're very rarely ever going to whiff. It is possible, just like with the leader's front side, it is possible to whiff. But on this one, you may need arrow searching so you can find a certain Jiren cards, and this can help you gain that consistency. And even if you hit this off turn 1, be able to establish the 5-drop turn 1, which is a very powerful play. But yeah, this gives you consistency in trying to find your evolve targets so you can get evolving, because almost all the evolve cards allow you to draw to replace themselves within your deck, and that's what you want to do. You want to grab those to help within your deck. Then we have the second one, Jiren the Avenger. This is the other one that was released in the same set as Jiren First of Power. And this has just got an auto. When this card is played, draw 1, so a cantrip. But it's got a very nice activate main, and that is limit 1, so you can only activate this once per turn across all copies of the card. And its effect is, if your leader is a red Universe 11 card, and you choose 1 card in your hand and discard it, and you place this card at the bottom of your deck in your drop area, that's the cost. Then the effect is add up to 1 red Jiren card with entry cost of 5 or less, and evolve skill from your deck to your hand and shuffle your deck. So essentially what you're doing is replacing the card in your hand with a evolve target. So, and also getting this back in your deck. So normally you're going to try and discard off of this effect for the cost and never copy it itself, so you can do it again next turn. Put this on the bottom of your deck, look through for an evolve target to shuffle your deck, so this 1-drop is then back in anywhere in the deck, not just at the bottom. And that's really nice because it just means that if your chain that you had this under is broken, it gives a drop, it's then got used to kind of build up again. And then the last one we've got is Jiren Temper Form. This was a TP we got in, I don't remember what set it was, but it wasn't too long ago. It just gave a nice little boost to this red Jiren deck, which is very nice because what we were lacking was 1-drop Jirens to actually get the chain going. And this one's very, like, it just got a very nice auto. And it's also, in this version, its auto is literally just the same as the Avenger, which is just when it's played, draw one. Because his auto reads, when this card is played, you may draw one card. If you don't, play up to one topo forcible obliteration from your hand with a marker on it. So that normally would allow you to play the Unison out for free from your hand to build to turn one, or draw your card. But we're normally always going to use it to draw a card. So all these one drops gain you value. So not only are you gaining one card off your activate main on your front side by taking a life, you also then playing at one of these, which either net you a card or draws one, which means you just basically turn one, you're gaining two cards and establishing in the start of your chain on the board. And we run 4 of each because we want to make sure we've got enough targets in this to get the full value off the leader, and just nice way to help you get extra uses of some cards and extra chains going off as well. So that's it for the one drops. Then we go on to the evolve targets. We'll start off with the lowest of the evolve targets, being the 4 drops, being the original Jiren Devastating Might, a 4 cost 15k with 0 cost 5k combo. And our new one, which I saw a lot of people say was terrible and didn't help the deck in any way, but those people were just very wrong because they've never played the deck. And that is Jiren Supreme Readiness. This is a 19k 4 cost with a 0 cost 5k combo. So these are very nice, and it's just nice to have these more targets because it just helps when you get to the 5 drop, having more cards underneath it to get that protection ability live without having to take life, and just give you more attackers and more evolved targets to trigger the leader and stuff as well. So we'll start off with Jiren Devastating Might. He's the one where the evolve, so with all these evolved targets, they've got limit 1 in some way. With all of them, apart from this Jiren Devastating Might, it's limit 1 in the evolve skill, so you can only evolve the rest of them once per turn because it's limit 1. But in this one, his evolve skill isn't limit 1, it's the auto. So with the EX evolve skill on this Jiren, it's if your leader is a red Universe 11 card, you evolve it on top of a red Jiren with energy cost of 1, so that's any one of these first 3 targets. And then its auto, as I said, is limit 1, which is when this card is played, draw 1 card, then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, and it gets minus 10k power for the turn. So that's a little bit of minusing, which is very nice. And you can combine this with your big boss guy as well to put a lot to the next link all the way down, even if it's a huge boy like 40k, all the way down to 0. But it's just nice to take out some little weaker things that your opponent starts off and leaves on the board if they haven't got barrier, which is pretty cool, or be able to attack over things that are quite high a little bit easier. This is normally what we're going to be using always, or most of the time, to evolve our 5 drop onto, because it's 15k, that's not as great. Whereas 19k on like the Jiren Supreme Readiness is a lot better. Well, this is the same kind of thing offensively, but defensively is a little bit better. And then we got Jiren Supreme Readiness. This is the new promo we got, I think in the last, I can't remember if it's the last set or the set before. And as I said, its evolve skill is limit 1, so you can only evolve this once per turn. And it's the same thing as the Jiren here, the 4-drop Jiren. It's the same kind of thing, just evolves on top of a 1-cost Jiren, as long as your leader is a red Universe 11 card. And it's also just like some of the 1-drops, which is when it's played, draw 1, so it's a cantrip. So you just still play this from your hand and replace it in your hand. So you're not losing hand by evolving, you're just establishing a wider board without losing anything, which is cool. And then you've got the activate main, which is not very good. I don't know why I'm even going over this because it's terrible, but just in case this whenever it comes up, you could have it, but it's just a very bad effect. And that's activate main limit 1. Place this card in its owner's drop. Play up to 1 red Jiren card with entry cost of 1 from your drop with the skills to get for the turn in rest mode. You're never going to use that. You normally want to just play this out, replace itself by drawing a card, and then have it as a 90k attacker. Like, it's very good in that sort of sense. And we play 4 of each because we just want to be evolving every turn, especially when you're awakened. You want to be evolving twice in a turn to make sure you get the full extra 10k power to your lead, so it becomes a 25k beefy attack. And that is the 4 cost, and we go for the next one. So we only got 1 5 cost because the promo one is terrible. And this is one of the best evolved targets in the deck, and that is Jiren Surge of Strength. Now this is a really nice one. It's a 5 cost, 19k with dual attack and a 0 cost 5k combo. Its EX evolve skill is limit 1, like I said. All of them apart from the Devastating Might has a limit 1. But it requires 1 energy, and if your leader card is a red Universe 11 card, it evolves on top of a red Jiren that's energy cost of 1 or 4. So you can evolve with either 1-drop or a 4-drop, and you might be wondering why did I say that you normally evolve on top of 4-drop. Well, it does have a permanent, which is if this card would be removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill, you may place 2 cards from under this card in their own drop areas, or add 1 card from your life to your hand instead. So if your opponent tries to remove this out by a skill, in anything, either bouncing it, just trying to move this from the battle area by a skill, you can either detach 2 cards from underneath it to save it and keep it there, or you can take a life instead. So that's why you normally want to bring out a 1-drop, evolve on top of 4-drop, normally Devastating Might because it's only 15k, then evolve this on top of it because then you've got 2 cards underneath it, so if you ever don't want to take a life for its effect, you can detach the 2 underneath it instead to protect it, which is very nice. And it has a very nice skill which allows you to make those 19Ks on cards you already have on board into a bit more, give it a bit more oomph. Because when this card is played by its auto, well, its auto is when this card is played, draw 1 card. So once again, all of them replace themselves apart from the big boss. You can choose up to one of your red Universe 11 leader cards or battle cards other than this card, and it gets 10k power for the turn. So essentially what this allows you to do is essentially give your leader extra 1, like defensively, if you evolve this during your opponent's turn, you get to give your leader an extra 1k power, and that means it basically gains, it becomes a 16k defensively, which is a lot harder. It means they got to start comboing up instead of going 15 to 15. They've now got a combo up to actually force you to either take the damage or combo out, which at 15 to 15 you wouldn't normally need to do. Or like on your turn, you can choose one of your other copies of itself, or an ever 19k, get an extra 1k, so it's 20k. So now your opponent isn't just comboing 5k to go to 20 to out combo your attack with 1 combo. They now have to combo 2 or use a super combo to out combo this time. And we run a 4/4 copies of this because having a dual attacker that is very hard to be removed is very, very nice. And if you can establish this turn 1, you can then have turn 2 where you establish a Unison or a Never one, and you start putting pressure on very early. So that is the 5-cost Jiren. Then we go on to the big boss card and one of the strongest cards in the deck, and that is our Jiren Zenith of Power. Now we only play 3 copies of the card, and that's mainly because its combo cost is 1 cost 5k. You don't want 1 cost 10k. You don't want too many of these, because it means if you get too many of these in your hand, they're dead and can't be used, because you don't want to be paying energy just to combo cards off, unless you're going for a kill swing, or you've got the energy for it, but normally you want to be using your energy effectively, especially in any deck outside of blue, because you don't have all these crazy cards just give you more energy than you need. And this is a very nice one because it's a 35k double striker and an 8 cost as well. So 8 cost means it gets around all those effects that only hit 7 or less, or even if you play Hatchak, you can get around this by attacking with the 5-drop, getting 2 swings like that, and then dropping this to get still attack through Hatch. So this is very nice. Its evolve skill is limit 1, then this requires 2 energy. Also, it has more restriction than the rest of them, being that if you have 3 or more energy, you need to be at 3 or more energy to actually do the evolve skill. So it costs 2 energy, 2 red energy to evolve, and also for you to be at 3 more energy, and you can only evolve this card on top of a 4 or 5 drop Jiren. So you can't evolve until 1 drop, it has to be a 4 or 5, but luckily you've got 1 that protects yourself, and the other ones that can people don't really care about or can be dropped very, very easily. And he's got a very strong auto that is very restrictive as well. So you've got to be careful when you're sequencing your turn, because if you drop this before you drop things that aren't Universe 11, you'll get punished and knocked out of those. Because the auto is when this card is played, choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and it gets minus 35k power for the turn, and you can't play non-Universe 11 battle cards for the turn. So it means after you've played this card for the turn, you can't play anything that's not a Universe 11 card in a battle card at all this turn. So make sure you sequence things that you want to drop first, and then drop the 8-drop, because otherwise you're locked out on anything it's not a Universe 11. And his technically does have dual attack as well, because of Activate Main, which is once per turn. You place 1 card from under this card in its owner's drop area, so it allows you to put some of your 1-drops in the drop, so you can bring them back or make use of them, like Journey Avenger. And then you get to switch this card to active mode, and then you may have your leader get 5k power for the turn. So after you evolve twice and then drop this, you can use this effect, restand after attacking, give your leader a 5k boost, so your leader can be, this is how I said your leader can be base 30k power for the turn. So a dual attack 35k double striker that comes down minus something through barrier, because it's very nice to have this barrier removal. It only costs 2. It's essentially a better version of Kaioken that's built in. It's actually an attacker that is essentially a dual attacker 35k double striker that is built in barrier removal and can give your leader a boost, which is very nice. But as once again, we only play 3 copies because it has a 1 cost 10k combo, but you want to be playing these because you can evolve it during your opponent's turn, thanks to the leader's auto, as you probably saw me do sometimes in the webcam locals upload I had on Monday. And just during your turn, you can bring this down, minus through something, and then just put some power through as well. It's one of the strongest cards in this deck. So that is all the Jiren cards. That is, well, all the red Jiren cards, all the ones that you evolve through. There's one other Jiren card that is not red that is very beneficial to this deck, and that is Jiren Pride of Universe 11. So this is a old promo that we got from back when we got the yellow Jiren stuff. I think it's set 9. Might have been set before. I think it was set 9 TPs we had for it. And it's a 2 cost 15k with 0 cost 5k combo. But in your hand, as long as you got the right setup, this can be a free 10k combo. And that's because it's activate main. And that's where if your leader is a Universe 11 card and you place this card from in your drop area from your hand, so essentially discard this card as long as your leader is a Universe 11, you get to choose the 2 Universe 11 cards with entry cost of 1 in your drop area, play them with the skills to get it for the duration of the turn. Now that means nothing having them be skillless. It's more that for free you can discard this card from your hand and play 2 1-drops from your drop onto the board that you can then either combo off for a 10k combo, because there'd be 2 5ks, or you can use them as like cards to just evolve over for your 4-drops. So you can basically discard this card from your hand, bring out 2 1-drops from your drop, and then evolve over each of them to get 2 new bodies to attack with, or combo them off. And this is very good. And this also opens up some good red-yellow plays, which I've been looking to explore with this deck as well, because it's very easy to get this in the drop, very easy yellow card, and you can combo it as well. Works well with the theme. And you know me, I do love my red-yellow stuff. But we play 4 copies of this because it's just a very, very strong card to just make use of your 1Ks that you've lost, gone to drop, and give you more combo power and more pressure as well, and even set your chains for free without using too much energy. So that is all the Jiren cards, all the Universe 11 cards. Well, all the Jiren cards, not all the Universe 11 cards. But then, as we said, the leader requires spirit boosting to get the evolve on your opponent's turn. So for this build, I'm trying out some different unisons, and for the one I'm running for this deck is one probably every red deck runs, and that is the Gogeta SS4 Gogeta Power Connection. Now, there's different unisons you build because red's got quite a few good unisons, and this one is just one that's quite beneficial with this deck. Like, it replaces itself, as we know, it replaces itself on play with its auto, which is when this card is played. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add up to 1 red card among them to your hand, and place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. So you get to add any red card, and there's so many good red cards in this deck that you don't mind grabbing. Like, is the chance you could get 3 non-red cards, because there is more than 3 non-red cards in the deck, but that's very, very unlikely, and if you do, then you've just been very unlucky with that effect. But normally you find a red card of it, add it to your hand, and it doesn't have to be a U7, it could be any red card, then bottom deck. And bottom decking cards doesn't matter because there's ways to shuffle this deck with things like the Journey Avenger and drop, or your leader's effect on its unawakened side to look at top 7 and shuffle afterwards, so that's not a bad thing. And I've gone with this one to try out because it's an easy turn 2, and the fun thing with this is, I know there's black smoke in the format, like black smoke's around that can help deal with unisons, but then when you're being aggressive and can evolve for free and very easily put a lot of aggression on, and have things that stay on board very cheap, if your opponent's playing black smoke, like you're paying 2 energy for this, to look at the top 3, bring out a unison with he's up to 4 markers that also chuck something down, because the marker skills on this is +2 for its activate main to play up to 1 red battle card from your hand with entry cost of 1 in rest mode, which one of your 1-drops that you want on there to have the targets to evolve on top of. Beneficial, giving you then 4 markers on your unison, and more markers means more chances to evolve using Spirit Boost. And then if it stays around, you can even use it as a finisher, which is -4, which is activate battle, allowing you to make this card a 30k double striker for the battle. If you drop this down and it stays, you're just in a good position because you've got the Unison support, you've got the Spirit Boost, Unison the Spirit Boost over to evolve on your opponent's turn, drop bigger things on your little 1-drops you left there, and get their effects off as well. But if you're paying 2 for this and getting all that benefit out of, and your opponent next turn plays 2 for black smoke to get rid of this, they've left all your board. They've paid 2 energy, which is probably a lot for their turn, unless they're playing blue, to just get rid of Unison, which isn't a core aspect of the deck, leaving your like board alone of all these like red Jirens. You've got these 4 costs and 5 costs and 8 costs, and really just use it their turn to get rid of the Unison, which meant nothing to them really. So it's a big benefit, and we play 4 copies of these because we can get this turn 2 and drop this down. Even if they get rid of it, you still got a good benefit. You can awaken the next turn and just put a lot of pressure on. and it also can draw attacks away from your lead or from your battle cards to basically make you plaster turn. That's one nice thing about Unisons, is that if your opponent doesn't play against your Unison effectively, or make the correct choice in your turn by going to this or not going to this, then they can screw themselves over, which is a nice little benefit. Play 4 copies because once again it gives red card, you can be charged, or you don't really care about if this comes down. It's just nice if it does. And to go with it, we've got the Unison package of 1 Yamcha because it's limited. It's limited to 1 because of the ban list, and it's just an extra thing you can play with Unison down, especially when it's got 4. It goes at the 4 markers on the turn you play it, meaning unless they knock 3 markers off it in 1 turn, which could be a bit difficult after only 2 turns, then you've got this out, and it's just a really nice benefit. Also got another good benefit of this is including 1 copy of Dispo thwarting the enemy. Now this is one thing that is quite nice to make use of the Unison, where if they do leave the Unison alone, just leave it there, and it just accumulates markers after markers after markers. You can have this as a free negate, because this has got a counter attack. Limit 1, if your leader is red, you get the attack and play this card in rest mode. If you get a leader card attack with this skill, your opponent can't attack with leader cards for the turn. So if you get an opponent that's got a leader that attacks multiple times, there's not many of those, but then you can stop this from being able to attack again after attacking once, which is good. Because Yellow Baby does exist in the form in the rogue aspect of the deck, so it could be good against that. But it's got a way to be free as well, which is for its permanent, where you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand without paying its entry cost, by paying Spirit Boost 2 for its cost instead. So if you've got a Unison board, it's got a ton of markers on where they haven't been attacking it and left it alone, you can, if in a tight spot, use this as well as a negate to negate its strong swing for free by taking 2 markers off Unison and negating the attack with this. That's a nice little benefit, and it doesn't have to have, and this is a nice card that doesn't need to have a Unison on board just to get the effect. You can still negate the attack. It's just if you want to play it for free, you've got this as a negate in that way. So if you haven't got energy open for a negate and you've got Unison on board, you can still use this as well. I'm going to play 1 because its counter attack is limit 1, and you only really need this once if you're in a tight spot to make the turn a little bit easier. And then the last card we've got for the Unison package is Free Wolfang Fist, a very good card, especially in combination with the Jiren Devastating Might. It means you can reduce the cost of Sonic attacking down to 25, because you can use this to choose the attacking battle card or leader card that's attack. Well, if it's a battle card, use this to choose the battle card that's attacking, minus it by 15k versus your own barrier, and then leader's effect, Spirit Boost, evolve on top of 1-drop using Devastating Might, draw 1 and then minus that by another 10k, meaning if something 25k or less attacking and it doesn't have barrier, you can basically get rid of it. Just a nice little combination there, and makes a nice little red package. Now if you don't want to include the red package, the red Unison package anyway, you can always switch that out and make room for stuff. Still exploring that, but at the moment this is the Unison build using this Unison and this package. So that is it for the Unison package. Then we've got some good tech cards and good red cards to help us out. And we'll start with the first one being our super combo. So a super combo we play is Raditz Saying Youth, because it's very nice, just because we have sometimes dead cards defensively, like if you've got too many 8 costs in your hand and you got no energy to combo with them, they're kind of dead. And if you've got Unisons in your hand and you already got one on board, I don't care, then that could be dead. And if you've got Wolfang Fist and no energy to play it and don't have to use it on board, that could be dead. So Saying Youth is a really nice card, but you're going to put those dead cards to the bottom of your deck, so you can draw into cards that could be potentially a lot more useful. So, and because you have to go down to 4 to awaken anyway, you're always, once you awaken, going to have this live to push through some pressure as well. And it helps you dig for your deck, because you do dig for your deck quite well with this deck too, where everything's drawing, or replace itself by drawing more. So we play 4 super combos, like every deck should. Then we're playing 2 copies of Sun Gohan facing the Android Terror. Now I do like this card in the deck, because it makes, if your opponent goes wide, makes their turn a little bit easier to deal with by just playing this out for 1. Using the activate main/battle is limit 1 for 1 energy. If your leader is red or a Master's Teaching card and your life is 4 or less, you play this card from your hand. So once you're awakened at 4 life, you can just bring this out during your turn or your opponent's turn, because it's activate main/battle, by paying 1 and bring it out. And this helps with wide boards and some things as well, because when it's played, you get to choose up to a total of your 7 of your opponent's battle cards and or Unisons, and they get minus 10k power for the turn. And additionally, if you chose 5 or more cards with a skill, this card gets 10k power and double strike for the turn. So for energy, you can even get out 25k and double striker for the turn potentially, and also minus their board by 10k as well. And the nice thing about this is that it hits Unisons as well. So against Unison strategies like we've seen in Golden Freezer, when they drop that free drop down, use its -3 and then try to get free 50, 25k attacks in. This makes it that is a little bit easier to deal with because you just drop this down for 1, reduce the Unison and whatever else they got on board by 10k, and reducing it down to a 15k for its free attacks is a lot easier to like deal with and combo out of than a 25k for free swings. So that's a good benefit of this. And then you've also got the Ever skill, which is the auto by paying 1 red if your leader is red. When this card is added to using energy, choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards or Unisons and gets -15k power for the turn. So there's a chance you can use this to actually neg suffering through an attack by playing out, comboing it, and then paying the 1 red. It does cost 2 energy, but you're minus something by 25k on a swing that may get rid of it, or reducing multiple things as well, which is quite cool. And play 2 copies of this because it's just a very nice tech card to help deal with things that aren't deal with wider boards, and also deal with some bigger things. And at the very least, it's combo power or a red charge for your energy. Then the last red card we've got, well, red battle card we've got, is 1 copy of King Vegeta Hidden Ambitions. Now, in this format, in like yellow, they've been you got cards that are adopted more and more at the moment, which is things like Time Magic, some of the old Sparking Negates. Even in blue, they've got D Magic they like to take a life and play for free, and you even got like green that has been on and off using things like Shocking Death Ball, and then you got some decks like red using After Image, or even like things like Dormant, Release from Evil, things like that. There's some extra cards that are 1 cost that have effects or negates to help stop you and negate an attack by taking a life instead or playing for free. And this is a nice card that once you get to 4 more energy, you can start stopping, because it's a counter if your leader is red and all your energy is mono red, and your opponent has 3 more energy, so they just need to have at least a 3rd turn to have this live. You get to negate the counter skill of an extra card with an original energy cost of 1 that was activated without paying its energy cost, then play this card. So essentially stop something like D Magic and play this card out for 1 energy and let the attack go on through. Like if they're trying to use a D Magic on your 8 drop, that's a no-go, and you set the force the attack through, and now they have to try and out combo it, but also losing D Magic and not getting the effect of it. The rest of the effect is pointless because your leader's not a red Saiyan, but it's just for that counter. Very nice tech card that I've seen like a majority of red decks were playing, like back when we had Sin and Gogeta. It's just very nice. It's like one of the few counters like red has without splashing to a different colour. So that is all the red battle cards, and we have some of the other ones. So we have our Overwhelm choice, being SS Vegeta, Fighting Spirit. This is just a free Overwhelm, so it's a nice free Overwhelm 6. Comes down, once you've got 6 cards to drop, warp them, play it for free. And then when it's played, you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards and set to the zone as warp. You don't really care about wide boards because you'll be tacking into it with all your your wide boards you're going for yourself, or just swing to lead to try and force them to actually deal with it, which not a lot of decks can. And also being a free 30k attacker as well, so not only just board clearing, free 30k attacker to add to the pressure as well. You can always side deck into different options like Mass and stuff if you feel like certain matchups are not like, well, if you feel like this Overwhelm is not great in certain matchups, you can always side Secret Identity to help deal with decks that have a wider board, but that's up to you how you feel to deal with the deck. This is just how I feel I've built it and what works best for me. And then we go on to the last 2 cards. The last, this one first being our secret rare, and the one I've gone for this deck is Pan, because even though red does have a fair few, like some good secret rares, like SSB Vegeta being a very good one, and the Vegito secret rare, a Light in the Darkness, or whatever it's called. Those are very good secret rares, but the problem is the Vegito only works, like only gets its full effect. Like you can overwhelm for free. It can overwhelm in this deck, but it can't get all its full effects because our leader's not a red Saiyan, so we don't play that one. And SSB Vegeta, while it's very good, it still costs 4 energy, which in an aggressive deck, an aggro deck like this, you don't want to be paying 4 energy just for your secret rare and not do anything else. You want to be able to do all your normal stuff and still be able to use your secret rare. And I feel Pan is the best one for this, because not only can it easily come down as a free 40k attacker, which has helped me in so many games, because you can establish a board, keep it there, and even put things down for free without using energy. It's also a very good card defensively as a secret rare as well, because once you get 3 and more energy, you can use this as a pseudo hatch, being able to stop all your opponent's battle card swings for the turn, and then establishing 40k on board. And you can do that for free, because for every battle card on board, either yours or your opponent's, it was reduced by 2 in cost. So either by you having 4 or combined you having 4 battle cards, places free, and use it defensively or offensively. I like that flexibility in secret rares like this. And that's why Pan, even though it's kind of fallen out of favour now with more and better secret rares coming out for certain decks, it's still a very good one for decks like this, which in their colour they don't have like a strong secret rare to play. Like red doesn't have a more aggressive secret rare. It more has a more late game ones, which is a shame. But then might be a bit busted in red. And for the last card we bring is the one last extra card, and that is Violent Rays. I do like Violent Rays, just 1 copy in red, because with the ban of Dirty Breast, the Golden Cooler secret rare is a lot stronger in this format. It's not as easily counterable in any deck can run blue, and there's not so many counterplays that really affect an 8 cost to stop it from doing anything. Dirty Breast was one of the things standing in its way, making blue a very good option already. Decks that tech blue, able to stop it so it comes down. Can still hit your hand, but then it can't attack, and you can get rid of it your next turn, so your opponent basically just uses it as a hand control card. But this is a very nice card in allowing you to just stop it from attacking. Like red doesn't really have any answer to it at all in like any counterplay unless you've got multiple things, like a combo of multiple cards to be able to come down and neg its power, but then it gains barrier when it's played and fulfills his auto. So there's a lot of choices that can counter it in red obsolete because it gains black barrier. So this is just a nice card to be able to negate the attack and then discard another card to make it so it can't attack for the rest of the turn, and then next turn get rid of it and then continue on with what you're going to do. And also this can be just very nice to negate against like decks that drop a lot of high level 30k battle cards, like things like Vegito and stuff, and just make it a little bit easier to deal with that turn. And at the very least, it's a card that you can side out easily or charge as well. So that is the main deck. So that's why I played a 50 card main deck. I like to keep my decks at 50 to have that consistency going, because deck thinning is deck winning, because the thinner your deck is and the more you have draw power event to switch through, the more you can see the cards you want to have that consistency. Consistency is always a big key factor in how some decks do better than others, as we've seen. But that is the main deck. Then we'll go and head over to the Z deck, because that is this deck does have Z deck. It doesn't use it much, but still there are nice little options in there. So we only have 4 cards in the Z deck. So we got the first one easily being SSB Vegeta, Surmounting the Impossible. This is the way you're normally going to awaken on turn 3, because if your opponent leaves you alone, you have to take a life. If they don't attack you, you're not going to be able to do anything. So then that's where this card allows you to awaken turn 3 instead of 4 if your opponent's not interacting with you, by allowing you to drop this after discharging 1 Z energy. And then bottom deck a card from your hand. It could be any card, like it doesn't matter, just any deck card or card you want you back in the deck. Then take a life and draw a card that allow you to awaken on turn 3. Otherwise, if your opponent's not interacting, you'll wait until turn 4 and use take your 4th life using your leader's effect. And you want to be awakening a bit quicker now. Turn 3 is not too bad, because then at least that turn is a turn you can eventually use your 8-drop Jiren. So there is that. Then we play 4 copies of Rush Attack SSB Vegeta. This card is not as strong with Gogeta and Singon, because those decks allow you to accrue Z energy incredibly fast, like stupidly fast. And you can accrue a lot in this deck, but then you don't use too much in terms of your Z deck, because you've got stronger plays. This is just like an extra card you can potentially play instead of using cards in your hand, if you feel like you don't want to use cards in your hand, or you can't really get as much benefit from the cards in your hand. And Rush Attack is a very nice one, just being able to come out, potentially get 2 attacks in one. First one being a 20k base, and the other one, 20k including the combo. The other one being a 30k double strike including the combo, and also negative things on board. Like, these are just very nice cards, but they're not the focus of your deck. It's just if you could set up, you can easily charge the energy using the yellow Jiren to get the 2 1-drops and swing, and only attack combo 1 off that accumulate the energy quite quickly. And yeah, this is an option, and we play 4 copies of this because while red does have some strong Z battle cards, it doesn't have a massively diverse cheap pool of cards, and like cards like blue and stuff. So we're going 4 copies of this, and the next one we've got is 1 copy of Defender of Life. This is a nice one because you can help push your opponent down to 3 energy, like just burn them for life, and get a strong card out on the board. Because this is 20k with Deflect and Double Strike, and when he's played, you can place up to one Saiyan from your drop on this card, and this card gains power for the turn. And additionally, if your opponent has 4 more life, deal 1 damage to them. So this allows you to push more pressure on your opponent for the cheap cost of 2 energy and 3 Z energy. And you don't have to put Saiyan underneath it to get barrier, it just happens even if you don't put one underneath it. So it's a nice way to get a barrier double strike 20k swing to help like push your opponent down to 1 so you can get that kill in with potentially Pan or something else. Just help you put a lot of pressure on. The last card, I decided to put this one in because I didn't have a second Defender of Life, because I thought a second one could be handy to drop out because it's quite cheap, a 20k double striker for 2 energy with deflect and can give itself barrier. But I decided to put in this one because I've been finding it very useful if I get pushed to a later game in any red deck, and that is a copy of Android 17 Impeccable Defense. I find if you get shut down and held off, because there are some decks that like to hold on for the late game, like yellow likes to like push it a little bit later so you can start like get to the later game when you can play things a lot better, a lot cheaper, and just like hold you off, play the game at their pace. And blue decks just like to stall. I'll just put this in because I thought this, since I didn't have the second Defender of Life, I need to make use of the slot, and I felt this was a lot better than the Ultra Goku one I've been using, I think it's a Bulma, because that gets benefit in Bulma by actually gaining the keyword blocker because of the leader skill, whereas this one is just a more handy way of dealing with it, helping with the later game. So it costs 3 energy and 3 Z energy, so that's quite hefty. But it's a 25k with barriers, so I got protection, and its blocker as well to defend yourself, and also has a nice little activate battle, which is limit 1, that allows you to switch this card to active mode if it's your opponent's turn. So this is nice, and I did use in one game. I was to drop this and just defend 2 attacks by blocking it twice to get through my opponent's turn and get back to my turn and start aggressing again. Because if you get stopped in your turn from being able to do anything or making use of anything, or just like stop for the turn, like it's like with Baby Hatch or like Pan or something like that, and gets just held off being able to do anything to that turn, you can just drop this down, have this be as the use should be your defensive turn, to help defend yourself, and then get back into your turn like it never, nothing really happened, which is very nice. Like with the Z deck, you can always tailor it to how you feel. Like if you've got your second Defender of Life, put that in. If you've got ever red text you want to put in, you could do that. I just personally feel like this is fine because you don't really use the Z deck often. It's just utility for if you need it. So that is the Z deck. Then we'll get into the side deck as well, because the side deck, one thing we do want to say before we get inside deck, it is depending on how your meta is, so don't just use this one and then treat this as the side to use. Do feel free to expand it, change it how you want to fit your meta, because this is more a benefit how I feel the meta is and what I feel is going to be more useful for me in the side deck. So you can already see we've got a dispo for the enemy because we have revealed it in the main deck. We've already got that in the side deck, so I do side him a second copy of Dispo for a deck, because if I get my Unison package in and I feel like I can use an extra negate, and also that this is a nice one, it can actually be used as combo powers if needed as well. I got this as another option because I can potentially use it as free and see more options as a useful option for it. Then we also got 2 copies of Peel After Cunning, so if you go against a Android 21, you can drop this turn 1 or whenever turn you see it, just so you can stop them from dropping the 8-drop, get in there and tap 5 at the end of the turn. And they're not just playing something for free and getting all that energy back. They get punished for playing such easy, brainless cards, as people say. I made 2 copies because 2 copies is a decent amount to actually see in this deck, and it's red, so it's at least chargeable, comboable. Then we got 2 copies of Brody Crown. Like, this card's become a little bit less powerful than it used to be, with the fact we're getting more counter plays or more like cards people put in the deck to counterplay to avoid getting this. Like with Dirty Burst gone, blue has less counterplays, like less strong meta counterplays to help deal with this. But if you're playing against blue-green, which is what the majority of blue is at the moment, then they still got Kusu and stuff, so it's still not great against that. And you got yellow having Tyrannical Blow and the Sin to just make it so you're basically paying 1 energy for nothing against those decks. And with green and like black and every red deck's not really leaving 2 energy open, so this is just for if I play against a deck like more like blue decks where they're leaving too much energy open, I can just drop this and kind of punish them by having a look, sneak peek at the hand and representing out and seeing what they've got for next turn and if they can deal with my turn's aggression, because it's more a side deck card now. Then we've got 2 copies of Shu, King Piccolo's Underling. This is a nice card to deal with some of the smaller, weaker floodgates, because we get some that are quite strong, like you got the Android 17 negate in blue that has that floodgate. If they got enough C energy or Z battle card in play to floodgate you, you want to stop things like that. And this is a nice one that it stops its little ones, but also being a card that can be comboed off for combo power if need be. It does cost energy, but still, that's not too bad. We've got the Dispo, as I've already talked about. Then we've got 2 copies of Raditz the Oppressor. This is the hate against Golden Freezer, because Golden Freezer is still a very strong deck in the format, and it's still nothing happened to it in the last format from the ban list, so it's still around. This is a nice card to be able to. You don't really use your turn 1, like you're normally using your turn 1 anyway, to play out a 1-drop, make use of that energy just to make use of it. So you're not playing a 1-drop or something, or using it if you've got the played a 1-drop off and you have a 4 or 5-drop in your hand, play that out turn 1. And this is nice when it gets Golden Freezer. If you can see it turn 1 and play this out, and then they have to think about have they got the card to remove it, rather than just doing a normal player Freezer's army, sack it off to untap 1, draw 1. They can't really do that with this. It just puts a nice little pressure on your Golden Freezer to either deal with it or do what they normally do, which they can't do because of its effect. And it's a cantrip as well, so you're destroying back from it, so we got that in there. Then we've got 2 copies of Sun Gohan defeating a demon. As I said, it's not too difficult to actually get Z energy in this, but it's not as consistent as say like Sin and Gogeta. You can't really get this live unless you want to waste cards in your hand. But since you can get the 1-drops out, combo one for free, you can get this out later. And if you feel there's a deck that you want to use this against to get a good use out of it, you can always side this in and take out say the Gohans for it. Easy way to side him. And we've got 2 copies in there for that reason. Then we've got a copy of Galactic Explorers. I really like this tech. This is a very nice one, just if you feel your opponent's going to be attacking as a Unison or you want to keep it around a bit longer. There's a deck that can't play Black Smoke or doesn't play Black Smoke. Then you can put this under Unison to give it a marker, and then you can always be able to bring it out as a, once you get to turn 4, play it as a 30k attacker that can potentially gain triple attack and wipe your opponent's board by minusing it by 30k and get more attacks in. But I feel this is more handy because I would just like to go wide and get a load of attacks in. Decks like Catjack that lock you down to only using 1 battle card a turn, unless it's 8 costs or more, meaning you have to make use of 8 costs, which is what they leave their energy and negates for. You can have this under your Unison, keep your Unison filled with markers, kind of keep it so it's out of the way of Black Smoke for them, but also allowing you to bring this out any turn once you get to later turns, which the deck will go to. I bring this out for free, get an 8-drop attack in and put it back under. So with the 5-drop, your normal 8-drop in this card, you can get quite a few attacks along with your Unison and lead against Hatchak. I mean, that is not as crippling as it used to be. And that's what I feel this is good. I feel this isn't main deck worthy. It just is in a best one pre-side. It's better in your side deck, so you can keep it out if you don't want to. Best of 3, I might be able to, I might put this in the main instead, like switch it about. But currently, I feel it's nice on the side to help with the Unison increase and things like Hatchak. We've got 2 copies of Beerus Ball, a never counterplay, and this one deals with 15k LSs. And if you use it often, like in your opponent's turn, to stop them from playing something, you get a 5k boost to your lead as well. But you've got to be 4 or less life to use this, which is fine because you're trying to get to 4 or less life anyway to awaken, so that's not an issue. And yeah, this is what you can always take out the Wolfang Fist for if you don't care about them in certain matchups, because extra card for extra card. And that brings the last card being the Final Guardian. This one I do like as it's just a nice little negate. Can increase the power of one of your battle cards, like your 5-drop stuff, to if you use it to make it so it's harder to swing over if it's in rest mode, because people might swing into it. Go 90k if they can't swing in your leader, to just increase the power of it. And this is a nice one. You can use it from your hand as a negate, or if it's discarded from your hand, or you've used it up already, it's a negate in the drop to help deal with it, because as I've been told, Invoker might be back, even though I don't reckon it is, it's such a terrible deck. But it could be back, and it's a nice card for that. Being able to have that nice handy drop, negate in the drop to be able to use if your opponent looks at your hand. You can see if one of the negates try to go in with a big swing, then you got the negates. Use it straight from the drop, using any card in your hand, and just saying ta-da. But that is my side deck for this. Normally I do side in the other overwhelm type. I feel like there's no overwhelm. I don't think Secret Identities is useful for this deck because you can always minus through some battle cards. Do a little bit easier. And I don't have any barrier removal sided in the deck. I don't play Black Smoke because I feel that's way too costly for this deck when you want to be aggressive. And Unisons you don't really give too much of a thought about. You just swing into them instead to try and get rid of them. because you can get a lot of swing and you don't like comboing. And I don't play Kayakens because I got barrier removal built into my 8-drop, and the only time that's not going to be helpful is if I go against Tragic Overground, which is not an issue for this deck. So that is the deck. That is the main Silent Z deck. Let me know if you've got any suggestions in the comments below. I'm happy to hear every suggestions or every ideas, because I'm not like super knowledgeable about all the cards in the game. There could be text that I've missed that I haven't thought of that could be really good for this deck. So if you've got any suggestions, feel free to put in the comments below or look into it and try it out. If you're happy to try this out, go ahead to the description below, get the deck list, look at it, and build it if you want, and try it out. And even if you want to import it to Untap to try it out there, you can welcome to do so. But I feel this deck is a very strong deck for the format, upcoming format, especially a red deck. Nice aggressive option as well that you can all try out. So thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.